The dust of the frontier moon drifted like pale mist as a lone human stepped through the market square. His name was Ray, a traveler with a quiet nature, an engineer by trade, and someone who rarely drew attention. Yet on this foreign world, his height alone made him stand out. He had arrived only 2 days earlier seeking work, hoping the scattered colonies on the moon might need someone who understood machines. What he did not expect was that the first challenge he faced would have nothing to do with machines at all. The square was crowded with merchants from many worlds. Their stalls shimmered with strange lights and fragrant vapor. Ray walked calmly through the crowd until he noticed a commotion near a stall that sold crystalline fruit. A small child, clearly not human, stood cornered against a crate. Her skin shimmered with pale silver, and her eyes glowed with faint violet. 3 large aliens towered over her with hostility in their posture. They were armored, their voices sharp and low as they argued with the frightened child. Ray paused. Something was wrong. The child was shivering, her hands pressed to her chest, her gaze darting for help that did not appear. The merchants nearby turned away, pretending not to see. The guards on duty stood too far to notice. Ray felt a pulse of instinct rise within him. He was not a soldier. He had never trained for conflict. Yet he could not ignore the look in the child's eyes. He stepped forward. The armored aliens moved as one, staring at him with annoyance. One barked at him in a guttural voice that the translator pinned to his collar converted into words. It accused him of interfering. Ray remained calm. He did not raise his voice. He simply asked them to leave the child alone. The aliens responded by pushing him back, but Ray did not retreat. When one reached to seize the child by the arm, Ray moved between them. It was not a calculated decision. It was instinct made solid. He shielded the child with his own body. The blow came fast. The armored fist struck Ray across the jaw. Pain shimmered through his head. He staggered, but stayed upright. The child gasped. The aliens grew angrier. Another struck him in the ribs. Another hit his back. Ray did not swing back. He knew that any violence from him would only escalate things. Instead, he braced himself, shielding the trembling child behind him. He felt every strike. Every bone beat shock. Yet he did not fall. A shout cut through the air. Market guards surged forward. The armored aliens backed away, clearly unwilling to fight official forces. They tried to argue, but the guards would not listen. Within moments, the aggressors were driven out of the square. Ray sank to one knee, breath trembling. The child rushed to his side, tears gathering in her violet eyes. She touched his shoulder gently, as if afraid he might break. Ray forced a smile and told her she was safe. That was when the air shifted. A tall woman approached from the direction of the command tower. Her steps were light yet powerful. Her presence drew the eyes of every merchant. Her skin, like the child's, shimmered with silver luminescence. Her hair flowed like strands of bright metal. Her gaze locked onto the child first, then onto Ray. Ray realized instantly who she was. This was Lyra, one of the leaders of the moon's ruling council, a warrior of high rank and the mother of the frightened child. The guards bowed in respect. Lyra moved past them and knelt beside her child. She hugged her, checking for injury. When she saw the child unharmed, she exhaled with relief. Then she turned to Ray. Her expression shifted to something complex, something intense. Gratitude, admiration, confusion, and a depth of interest that startled Ray. She touched his shoulder gently, examining the bruises forming beneath his shirt. Her fingers glowed faintly as she traced along a line of swelling. Her voice, when she spoke, carried a strong yet soft tone. She asked why he protected the child at such risk to himself. Ray answered simply, because no one else had. The moon's citizens admired strength. Yet for Lyra, what Ray had done was more than strength. It was devotion to the innocent, a trait her people held sacred. She signaled her guards to carry Ray to the medical tower. Ray tried to refuse, but could barely stand. Lyra supported him with surprising gentleness. Her child clung to her other side. Still shaken as they entered the tall crystalline tower, Ray marveled at the shimmering interior. The healing chambers were unlike any human medical device. They pulsed with soft light, releasing waves that soothed bruised skin and eased the ache in his ribs. Lyra stood nearby, watching him closely with that same intense expression. Ray felt confused under her gaze. He was nothing special. He was a traveler with worn boots and a list of old failures he kept hidden. Yet her eyes held a kind of wonder, as if she saw a rare creature. When the healing session finished, Lyra invited him to her personal chamber. Ray tried to decline, but she insisted. Her people did not ignore those who saved their bloodline. She wanted to speak with him privately. Her chamber was vast and decorated with flowing metal strands that shimmered with gentle color. The child sat on a cushion near the window, drawing patterns on a transparent slate. Ray stood awkwardly while Lyra approached him. She asked about his life, his home, his purpose. Ray answered honestly. He had no grand mission. He traveled to learn and to help where he could. He worked with machines. He had left his home because he felt he had no real place there. She listened with interest. In her world, a human who protected a child without need for reward was rare. A human who spoke humbly afterward was even rarer. As the conversation deepened, Ray began to realize that Lyra was not merely curious. She was captivated. Her people had a belief that certain acts revealed one's soul, and those who displayed true courage and compassion formed a bond with those who witnessed it. Ray's act had carved itself deeply into her heart. When her child finished drawing, she ran to Ray and hugged him. Something in Ray's chest warmed. Lyra watched the scene with a softness that surprised Ray. When he looked back at her, she held his gaze. She said he was not allowed to leave immediately. Her voice was calm, but firm. He had interfered in a matter that involved her bloodline. Such acts bound him to their protection until official review was complete. Ray frowned slightly, sensing that the reason was deeper than protocol. Lyra approached him, standing close enough that he felt the warmth radiating from her. She told him something her people rarely spoke to outsiders. When one saved a child of her lineage, the mother's spirit marked the savior. It was an instinct older than their history, a bond that rose from gratitude and deep admiration. Once formed, it did not fade easily. Ray realized she was trying to tell him something profound. She desired him, not with the urgency of a stranger seeking reward, but with a slow and powerful force. A longing built from respect, gratitude, and an attraction she could not hide. Ray felt his heart beat faster. He had never expected anyone, especially an alien leader, to look at him with such intensity. Yet he had seen her fight for her people. He had seen her protect her child with fierce love. She was powerful, wise, beautiful in her own radiant way. And she was looking at him as if he were the most remarkable being she had ever encountered. Still, Ray hesitated. This was not his world. He did not belong to their customs. He did not know the weight of the bond she described. Sensing his confusion, Lyra stepped back slightly. She told him he was free to choose his own path. She would not force his future. But she also made one truth clear. She did not wish for him to leave in the days that followed. Ray remained in the tower under her protection. The child visited him often, bringing him small gifts or showing him drawings of the event in the market. She now saw him as a guardian. Lyra saw him as something deeper. They walked through the moon's garden domes together. Lyra explained the history of her people, their struggles, and how rare it was for outsiders to act with such honor. Ray listened, sharing stories of Earth, of the machines he loved, and of the quiet places where he once felt forgotten. Slowly, they grew closer. Ray discovered that Lyra's strength was balanced by gentleness. She discovered Ray's bravery was balanced by humility. Their conversations carried a warmth that neither had expected. The bond deepened not through sudden passion, but through moments. Small, quiet, genuine moments. One evening, as the twin moons rose above the crystalline towers, Lyra stood beside him on a balcony overlooking the city. Her child slept peacefully inside. The glow of the moons reflected off her silver skin. Ray stood beside her, silent yet comfortable. She turned to him and thanked him again, not just for saving her child, but for allowing her to know him. She admitted that she felt drawn to him in a way she had never felt before, that her spirit had marked him not because of custom, but because her heart had chosen it. Ray looked at her, the glow of the moons illuminating her calm expression. He felt a warmth spread through him. He had spent years drifting between places, believing he had no home. Yet here, beside this alien leader, with her trust and her gratitude shining so openly, he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Belonging. He reached for her hand. She accepted it without hesitation. Her silver fingers intertwined with his. The city lights shimmered below them. The twin moons continued their slow rise, and the quiet moment became a promise. Days turned into weeks. Ray became part of the tower's life. The child saw him as family. Lyra saw him as someone her spirit had chosen. Ray found himself helping the technicians repair old systems. The workers admired.